Hey guys, this is Sumuk from TechPP and today we are going to be spending a day with the Redmi Note 9 Pro. That is exactly the phone that this part of the video is being shot with. So by the time you're watching this video, of course, the phone has already been launched, which was yesterday. We are shooting this video on the day of the launch itself so that we also have a rough idea about how the phone is held up with respect to the final software build that is going to be provided on the retail units, and also we are aware of the price, so to give our judgment about the device. So I'm starting the day off. Right now I've unplugged the phone at about 8:15 in the morning and have been using it ever since. Not a lot though. I've been connected to Wi-Fi, so there's not a lot of battery drain. You can see the current battery stats right now on your screen. Also, I'll be heading out in a short while. Currently, I'm editing the first impressions video of this device, which if you haven't watched, you can check out in the I button above. So yeah, let's see how the phone holds up with respect to the performance, the cameras, the battery life mainly. Now there's one thing about the Note 9 Pro, which is it does not really feel like an upgrade per se to the Note 8 Pro. So let's see how it does, and let's see how the Note 9 Pro Max has turned out. I don't know how the device is right now. Let's watch out for the launch event. So yeah, that's about it for this part. I will catch you soon in an update that I should be giving once I head out for some work. Yeah, stick around. So guys, it's about 2:30 in the afternoon right now and I am done with my work at home. So I was just leaving to office so that I could shoot a part of this video there. Also, I had to collect a few things for review. So yeah, the battery stats right now would be on your screen. Again, not a lot of usage. I was on Wi-Fi all the time. I was doing some work, so didn't really use my phone a lot. And I feel the true test would actually begin right now, because now I'm on mobile data. I would be streaming some songs and also scrolling through Twitter and Instagram endlessly. So yeah, that would be interesting to see how the battery endurance is. Also, a couple of things that I noticed about the phone since the time I've been using it is mainly with regards to the build quality. The design, of course, is quite nice. We have the blue color variant with us. However, I think the designs become quite common now. There's nothing unique or distinct about this particular design. So it would be nice if there was something different to see in that department. However, speaking about the build quality, the phone does feel quite premium in the hand. However, it's also quite chunky and also quite large, especially if you're using it one-handed. It's quite heavy, so you might feel a little uncomfortable. However, if you're going to be using it with two hands, it's not that big of a deal. Also, the fingerprint scanner is now moved to the side from the rear, and this is something that I personally like. The accuracy, however, depends on how well you place your finger on the scanner. It's really fast though, so that's something you don't have to worry about. Also, let's speak about the volume rocker now, which has actually moved slightly above than usual. That's because the fingerprint scanner had to be accommodated, and now this means you'll have to slightly reach out for the volume rockers every time you have to use them. Again, not that big of a deal. Overall, the phone actually feels quite good when held in the hand. Now the display indoors has been quite good, but now since that I'm outside, I'll use it for some time in direct sunlight, and then I will speak about the display once I get to the office. So yeah, that's pretty much it for now, and I'll catch you again soon. So I've reached office and it's currently about 4 p.m. and as I said, this would be the real test for the battery, and yes, as it turns out, I've dropped about 10% since the time I've left home. Current battery stats will be on the screen right now. So as I ended with the display in the previous segment, I want to continue with that. So outdoors as well, I realized that the display is actually quite good. It gets sufficiently bright to be viewed under direct sunlight as well. And also the colors are really nice on the display. The viewing angles are good. But one thing that is kind of lacking on the Note 9 Pro is the fact that there is no higher refresh rate display. You still get a 60 hertz panel. That's not, while that's not really a con, if you consider other phones in the segment, for example, the Poco X2 gets a 120 hertz display. The Realme 6 Pro, which is priced slightly higher, still gets a 90 hertz panel. So that is slightly a bummer that you still have to stick with a 60 hertz display on the Redmi Note 9 Pro. Now, one more thing that we observed is that the bottom chin is for some reason slightly thicker than what it was on the Note 8 Pro. Now this might not be that big of a deal to you, but it is something that we observed when you compare it side by side. The Note 8 Pro actually felt more bezel-less, if you may, on the front compared to the Note 9 Pro. I don't know, not sure why that's the case. Also, there is slight bleed near the punch hole cutout. Now, this is common to every LCD display with a punch hole cutout. We saw this on the Poco X2. We saw this on the Realme phones. Again, nothing major. Only if you look at it real close, you will realize there is a very slight bleed. Now, while we're speaking about the display, I did watch a lot of content on this phone, and one thing is that there is Widevine L1 certification. However, it is applicable only on Amazon Prime Video for some reason, but Netflix, on the other hand, does not support playback of HD content. Whereas Amazon can go up to full HD. So if you consume a lot of content on Netflix, this might be a bummer for you. This is something that we observed in with the Note 8 Pro previously, so not sure what's really going on here. Also, there is a notification LED embedded onto the earpiece on the front, which is kind of nice. It's a single color one though, it blinks only in white, but it's there nevertheless if you want to use it. So yeah, that's been it for the observations as of now. Now that I'm in office, I'll probably play a little bit of PUBG to see how well the phone performs, and I'll get back to you after that. So guys, I just played PUBG for a bit, and I did it on the Smooth Plus Ultra settings because that's the maximum frame rate achievable with the Redmi Note 9 Pro running on the Snapdragon 720G chipset. And while the gameplay was for the most part pretty smooth, we observed that at times there were frame drops and lags, and these are actually quite annoying when you're playing competitively, and if you get down at hot drops, there's a lot of enemies around you. So I think this is something to do with the optimization, because on the Realme 6 Pro, which also has the same chipset, the game actually ran pretty smooth. So I think there is some optimization that needs to be done by Tencent or probably by Xiaomi for the game to work well. We're also supposed to receive a software update, which we haven't, so we'll keep you updated probably in the description or in a pinned comment regarding if the PUBG performance actually improves after this video has been posted. So apart from PUBG regular day-to-day usage, the apps have been running really well. Switching between apps, there's absolutely no issues, and we've got the 6GB RAM variant, and there have been no issues even with multiple apps running in the background. Now yes, this phone does run on MIUI 11 on top of Android 10, and you get your usual MIUI features like dual apps, you have your secure space, there's even a gaming mode, you can even block calls, or you can check the FPS while you're gaming, etc. So that's nice. But however, there is a lot of bloatware that we observed. I'll put a screenshot right here now on the screen. So when you just unbox the device, you can see there are a lot of pre-installed apps that you would not be using, and while most of them can be uninstalled, it's really a pain going through every single app and uninstalling them. So this is something you need to keep in mind. However, surprisingly on our unit, we did not encounter any ads on the UI. Now we are not sure if it's going to be the same even on the retail units that you consumers will receive. But at least on our build of MIUI as of shooting this video, we did not encounter any ads. And if it is true that Xiaomi has got rid of ads, which is slightly unlikely, it's a really good move. Well, yeah, that was pretty much about the software aspect of it. A few quirks here and there that I noticed while using is that the battery somehow isn't very well calibrated. At times I observed that the percentage dropped by 3-4% at once, which was surprising. And also when I reboot the phone, it again lost 3-4% at one go, which seems to be some issue with the calibration. This did not happen very often though. It was just about 2 to 3 times in the past 4-5 days that I observed. Again, that's something that needs to be fixed via updates. So for some reason Mi Fit cannot sync notifications, which means it cannot get notification access even though it's enabled on the app. Again, I'll put a screenshot here of the issue. So that is with the Mi Fit syncing notifications. So this was pretty much it about the performance and the UI aspect of the phone. There are a couple of things that I need to mention that I've made a note of. The call quality is actually really good on the phone through the earpiece. However, the network reception isn't that great as per my observation. Where I live, the network, the Airtel network isn't that strong. So the phone had difficulty catching network very often. To fix this, there is Wi-Fi calling on the phone, which is really nice. The quality again is very good through that. Also, I did not encounter 4G plus signals. I'm not very sure again if carrier aggregation is present or not. At least I did not face any 4G plus signals while I was using the phone here in Bangalore. On the bright side though, you get a triple slot, which means you can use 2 SIMs and an SD card at the same time, which people really seem to like. So if you're into that, it's good news for you. Well, that was pretty much it as of now. I will again keep using the phone further. The battery update right now will be here on the screen. So yeah, stay tuned and we'll catch up with you later. So guys, I'm finally back home now and it is 8:20 p.m. I'll put the battery stats right here. This is probably going to be the final stats because I plan on ending the video right now. And yeah, the battery has been terrific. It's still on 46% despite all the heavy usage, about 5 hours of screen on time, and still having this much battery left is just insane. I could get through probably 8 to 10 hours of screen on time if I continue using this phone for that long, but of course I'm not going to do that. So battery aside, a couple of more observations that I've made while I was using this phone are that the speaker, which is a downward firing unit, is actually quite loud but not very good for a nice music listening experience, especially if you have a big room and you have a lot of people. I don't think it's the best experience using the speaker. It would be nice if there was a stereo setup. But yeah, that's it about the speaker. You also get a headphone jack and the output is quite good. We actually tried it with the Mi dual driver earphones and it actually turned out to be really nice. Also, a couple of more things is that the IR blaster is still retained up top. It's a signature Redmi feature and it is still there. So that's really nice. And also this is one of the first few phones to come with support for Navic, which is India's own navigation system. We have a dedicated article on that, actually multiple articles which you can find in the I button above. However, the Navic, at least as of now, seems to be slightly unreliable in terms of latching on to the signals. So basically, while we were trying the GNSS test app to detect if it can latch on to Navic satellites, we often observed that as soon as it got a connection, it disconnected, which means it's not able to hold up that Navic connection really well. I think as and when time goes by and Xiaomi optimizes this, it will probably get better. Also, there is no way right now to see if your app, your Maps app, or any navigation app for that matter is using GPS or Navic. So we'll try to figure that out how that works. But at least as of now, there's nothing really to panic about it though, because if it cannot latch onto Navic, it automatically switches to GPS, and you're as good as any other smartphone with regards to navigation. Also, Xiaomi spoke something about a Z-axis haptic motor, which improves on the haptic feedback or the vibrations, but that does not seem to be the case in our experience. The haptics are pretty poor; they're very weak. In fact, especially when you're typing, you don't really get that feedback that you get usually from more expensive smartphones. So that is something to keep in mind. Well, this was it about some smaller miscellaneous things. Now let's move on to cameras. Now the Redmi Note 9 Pro has a 48 megapixel primary camera, which is a Samsung GM2 sensor, and you also get an 8 megapixel ultra wide and a 5 megapixel macro, as well as a depth sensor. Now the primary shooter actually does really well in good lighting, and that is something that we've come to expect with every smartphone that's launched, irrespective of the price range, to be honest. So not anything surprising in that matter. When it comes to the wide angle shooter, again it does fairly well. The same story here as well, it just loses out on some details when you shoot in good lighting as well. Now the macro sensor has received a kind of an upgrade from a 2 megapixel to a 5 megapixel sensor, and well, yeah, the macro shots do turn out to be surprisingly better when compared to previous generation devices. Now that was about the cameras in low light. You get good pictures. You can judge you can judge them yourself by the samples that you're seeing right now on your screen. The colors are good, the dynamic range is nice, the details are there, but yeah, they are not as good as the primary shooter on the Poco X2, which is a fantastic camera. But yeah, again, the Poco X2 is slightly more expensive. Maybe we should compare that with the Max variant. Well, in low light, the 48 megapixel primary shooter actually kind of suffers at times in terms of detail. There is a lot of noise that creeps in. The images tend to look soft. But when you have light sources, the image on the other hand kind of tends to be a little over sharpened. So it's kind of a mixed bag. It's not either this or that. At times you do end up with good results, but when you zoom in even a little bit, you realize that there is a lot of noise in the shot. And the same is the case with the wide angle lens. The wide angle lens cannot be used along with the night mode, which is the bummer. So you have to resort to the primary camera in low light if you want usable pictures. Also, the selfies, you get a 16 megapixel selfie shooter on the front in that punch hole, and we were actually surprised with the selfie output from the Redmi Note 9 Pro. We really like the selfies. The skin tones are good. There's not a lot of softening that's happening, and the background blur for portrait mode is actually handled really well. So that is about the selfie shooter. Now we did try to install Gcam on the Redmi Note 9 Pro, but unfortunately we weren't able to get a fully functional build. The app kept crashing, so probably in due course of time we will have a nice working build, and maybe then the cameras will actually perform even better. Now with regards to video, you also get a pro video mode, which is something that we really appreciate. If you are a pro photographer and a videographer, you will really like the pro mode on the Note 9 series. Also, the final aspect to speak about that I've already addressed is the battery life. It's fantastic. Final stats again for a reference on the screen here. You can easily get through a single day's heavy usage with the Note 9 Pro on Wi-Fi as well as mobile data, and you also get 18-watt fast charging with the charger included in the box. However, this is slightly a letdown because the Pro Max one gets a 33-watt charger, and while 18-watt isn't too low, we did observe that it took about 2 to 2.5 hours to completely charge this phone, and that is because there is a huge mammoth 5000 milliampere battery inside, which of course does need a lot of wattage to charge fully. Well, that was it about the Redmi Note 9 Pro. To sum it up, in our experience, the display has been quite good. The battery is phenomenal. The cameras are decent, and performance in day-to-day life is good. But PUBG does take a hit due to some optimization issue, looks like. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you're looking for an all-round smartphone, if you can extend your budget a little more, the Poco X2 makes a lot more sense. If you want us to compare this phone with other phones such as the Realme 6, which also sells for the same price, do let us know and we will make that happen. Hope you liked this video. If you did, make sure you subscribe to our channel, you hit the like button. If you have any queries, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Share this with your friends if they're planning to get themselves a Redmi Note 9 Pro. And well, yeah, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you around.